everyone, checking in on the markets. Want to go over a little bit of data first as we have quadruple witching tomorrow. So we have some statistics over the past 35 years with how it has turned out. And what I'm most interested in, you can see a lot of back and forth here in terms of option expiration day, whether it's green or red, option expiration week, whether it's green or red, pretty mixed. But it's very clear that there is a statistical probability for the week after the March quadruple witching for the S&P 500, 25 out of 35, 71% of the time it's red. So I'm not going to act on this information alone, but I'm absolutely going to take it into consideration. Could we be green next week? Absolutely. But there is a 70% chance, as far as I'm concerned, that we are going to be red next week. And that would fit with the sense, or the setup that we are extended, where we just saw a 3 gap up, bull move, daily inside bar today, sideways trading, very tight range, and going to be looking at a break of this tight range tomorrow on quadruple witching, but it's still favoring the bulls. Look at the 4 hour. Very healthy 4 hour consolidation at this point. And for the bears to prove anything to me, we're going to have to head back down towards the 279 area in order to see any kind of meaningful weakness after the strength that we have seen. So a daily inside bar will be on watch tomorrow. Today, it was a pretty clear setup that an inside bar was going to be coming. And I was watching just how the morning was trading. And I was watching the low of yesterday, 280.30. And we dropped down and we approached that level. The size of this bounce told me we're likely going to set a 5-minute high or low after that bounce. So at that point in time, I drew the pattern of the potential inverse head and shoulders pattern on the 5-minute time frame. And that's indeed how it played out. And as soon as that happened, I said, all right, odds just significantly increased that a daily inside bar is going to form today. And that is how it ended up playing out. So that told me, stop paying attention. It's going to be a pretty low action day. So looking for clues like that and then determining the most likely scenario can prevent you from over trading to certain instances. So I didn't trade this pattern, but what I did do is know to sit on my hands and wait for the tightening range to break instead of trying to play in an anticipated choppy day. So on the daily, if we break the inside bar bearish tomorrow, we're going to be looking for a healthy pullback on the daily and for a higher low to form on the daily. And if we break it bullish, that will be notable for the bulls, but will also still be pretty extended in the short term in terms of needing to see a bit of consolidation, in my opinion, just to form a daily higher low at the least. IWM here, we knew we weren't going to change the trend on this bounce. The bounce was the weakest out of most of the names that we were watching. 4 hour time frame looks like the lower high is set. So we got the high, low, lower high, and now we're looking down at the higher low to form somewhere in the low 150s, and for this tightening range to likely play out into next week. QQQ, also a daily inside bar, but we did close at the low of the day with bears having momentum into that close. 4 hour time frame starting to pull back a little bit, but still maintaining the uptrend overall. Looking at the hourly chart, a little bit more weakness than SPY. Watching for hourly oversold conditions. If the bears keep up tomorrow and we break the lows of today, hourly RSI being oversold on the first pullback after a very strong bull move usually gets a pretty solid oversold bounce. So that's something that we would be keeping an eye out for. And there's a little gap at 146, make that 176.14. XLF held up the bulls today. Without XLF strength today, the S&P 500 would have broke bearish and broken the low of yesterday, in my opinion. So the daily chart continued to bounce. We did not top out on the financial sector. And while the tech sector closed at the low of the day with QQQ there, the financial sector closed just fine. So in order to see any kind of significant market weakness, in my opinion, we have to see financial and tech both going down. If only one of them is going down, the bears are not going to get much follow through on that day as far as the overall S&P 500 is concerned. XBI continuing to tighten up on the daily time frame. We have our high, low the pullback, lower high looks to be set today. We closed down near the low of the day, and we're going to look for a higher low to form in the tightening 4 hour pattern, pretty similar to what we're watching for on IWM. If we break the low of today, that will confirm the daily lower high has been set tomorrow, and we'll look for that further pullback. Oil continues to stand out extremely strong. No consolidation. Again, in my opinion, we are not seeing significant consolidation in the market because oil is holding up really well. Look at the bulls buy these dips today. It was just a dump, V-shaped recovery to a double top, and then just sideways trading, bulls holding on. Multiple dumps multiple V-shaped recoveries, and that's what's giving us these long lower wicks on the 4-hour time frame, have to lose that support of 57.99 in order to see SPY consolidate, in my opinion. And if we look at the daily chart, again, just a 4-day significant turnaround bull move, 5-day, and we're seeing that on SPY as well. The difference today is that the tech sector consolidated, and so we didn't see the continuation that oil did. But again, very similar charts. Watch that correlation. Natural gas inventory report still has us stuck in the middle of this range, so we need to wait for clarity. Again, I do not like entries in the middle of ranges because we are far away from stop levels or resistance levels, and we are just going to be looking to tighten up. We'll watch 2889, but if we form a lower high compared to it, we'll have a daily equilibrium and a tightening range into next week to be watching. So expecting volatility tomorrow with quadruple witching. We'll see how the daily inside bar ends up breaking. We know statistically speaking, there's a 70% chance that next week is going to be red. We'll see how that ends up playing out, and we'll continue to watch the 4-hour time frames because that today, I kept checking in on the 4-hour for SPY and saying this is a potential bull flag and still very healthy at this point. So bears are going to have to drop down towards 280 to negate the potential bull flag on this 4-hour chart. Hope you're well. We'll see you over the weekend. Have a good Thursday night and Friday morning and Friday afternoon and Friday evening. Story time, chapter 8. So we are looking now, Colorado, Black Canyon of the Gunnison National Park in Colorado. And it's pretty much like, I won't say it's like the Grand Canyon because it's way different, but it is, I think it's the deepest ravine. I don't know what the right word is, but the deepest thing in the country in terms of steep, how steep it is and the slope and how fast it drops down to the bottom. And you can see the river in there cutting away, and that's just been millions and millions and millions of years of ice and glaciers and rivers cutting away at these rocks. And it's really cool that you can literally just see time and see all the different years and millions of years going down to the bottom. And it's a pretty cool national park. Not a ton of camping in terms of, you know, being out in the woods or things like that. They have designated areas, but a cool place to check out. And really cool sunrises and sunsets. There's all your nice flowers with the reds and purples and blues, and arid in the Colorado dry air, but still a lot of plant life thrives. But really nice views, long distance. The sunrise and the sunsets were really cool because the shadows across the rocks were awesome. And I would just do my thing in the BLM land or National Forest land. This is just another campsite off the side of the road. And if you're looking to travel, the national parks are the kind of places that cost more, but it's clearly they're a lot better funded in terms of infrastructure and also information. They have great information centers, and you can show up to a national park with no plan, and they'll fill you in with everything you need, maps and best places to hike and best places to camp and all that. If you're going to a national forest, they have information centers, but you can tell they're way underfunded. They don't care. I've gone to national forest information centers, and they almost don't want you to go to certain places. They're trying to steer you away. Maybe it means more work for them picking up trash, which I could understand, but it's way less helpful. It's night and day experiences. So if you're going to national parks, or national forests or BLM land, you need to do research on your own on the internet before getting out there. Otherwise, you are probably going to get lost and you're going to miss out on a lot of the best areas. But that's what I was talking about with the shadows for, looks like sunset starting there in the cavern. This dude, I was just sitting there at my campsite. This little chipmunk, it's pretty poor quality, but his mouth is completely stuffed. His cheeks are completely stuffed, and his belly is completely stuffed. He was literally dragging his belly, walking across the road in an army crawl like he was full of food, which he was. But he just stopped, and he stayed in this exact position, and he just stared at me for literally enough time for me to sit there and be like, what are you doing? And pull out my phone and take a picture for him. It must have been there for 5 minutes, still like that, with his legs sticking out, just completely stopped. He was probably saying like, man, I hope he doesn't come and get me because I can't move if he wants to get me. Anyways, there's some more of the canyon, and you can go down into the canyon, but it's a multiple day excursion, and it's certainly a lot of planning, and I did not do that. There's some more of the shadows and different angles that the rocks are being hit. Then I went to Silverton, Colorado, which is a little old mining town, very small, but they go all out for their fireworks. And it's probably the second best firework display I've ever seen. I went to Boston in 2000 and they went all out. So that's probably the best, but it's just regular old Silverton, Colorado. They've got mining tracks, or I should say railroad, nice scenic railroad through the mountains, through Silverton, but some mining history in the town and mostly a vacation, not a vacation spot, but a place that people pass through, not a whole bunch of locals, but a really cool fireworks show and nice to be able to just skip into town and see that. So from here, I'm going to hop on over to Ouray, and then I think I head down south towards Durango and Mesa Verde National Park, and that'll be chapter 9, I think. I've lost count of chapters, but we'll keep on going. See you soon.